For the record, I am not a person.
Guys, fasten your seatbelts. This one begins immediately with ridiculousness. The defendant rejects legal identity at the outset, asserting loudly that he is not a person. Though it just draws attention, it's a sovereign citizen strategy intended to sabotage the process. It's like talking to a wall when the judge tries to change the direction of the hearing. This section establishes the framework for the ensuing mayhem. A man going to court to fight against reason rather than respond to accusations. And that's only the beginning.
Yes. He said the person, I am not a person, so I'm trying to figure out.
Do you have a question for for Corporal Spidell? Corporal Spidell, I'm sorry, Corporal.
That's what the officer meant.
Do you have a question for the corporal?
No, I don't have a question.
Do you have any questions for Corporal?
Not for court. I have a question
You have a question for whom?
for the court.
Okay, you don't actually get to ask the court anything unless you have a motion that you'd like to file. The court doesn't really take up any questions at this point. We're in trial. So at this point, if you would like to cross-examine the witness, you may do so now.
No, I don't have any questions for the officer.
Okay, so the witness is free to step down. Will the defendant like to call any witnesses?
Speak for myself.
You would like to take the stand as a witness?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you give will be the truth and the entire truth?
Yes.
Please state and spell your name for the record.
For the record, my name is Roman Brown. Living man. You should spell it.
Please spell it. Yes.
Capital R, lowercase O, M, lowercase M, lowercase N, lowercase N, capital B, lowercase R, lowercase O, lowercase W, lowercase N.
As the judge tries to clarify judicial procedures, the defendant rewrites the rules, further confusing matters. He is a self-delusional legal disaster who insists on serving as both his lawyer and witness. He obviously thinks he is above the law. As the judge gently reminds him of the repercussions, you can sense the tension building. However, this defendant has already fallen down the rabbit hole and is prepared to question a system that he obviously doesn't comprehend.
I'm going to have you give your testimony from the podium as you are representing yourself, and you are now the witness as well as the acting on your own behalf as your own attorney. So you may proceed.
Yes. So I was traveling, like, I'm a non-citizen national, for the record. I am not a United States citizen. I am not a resident in the state. I live in the United States of America. But I was traveling. I didn't commit any crimes. The officer asked me for documentation. I gave him the documentation. The driver's license, he unlawfully detained me. I did not consent to any searches or seizures. He unlawfully violated my rights by going through my private property. He in the documents that he brought up were like you just stated, they were not valid and they were canceled. So like I stated before, I was traveling. I'm not a driver. I reserve all of my rights.
Okay, folks. This is the point at which the sovereign playbook becomes the main focus. The defendant invokes UCCC codes like their courtroom spells and argues that he was traveling rather than driving. Invoking constitutional rights and common law, he even requests proof of contracts. He delivers it with complete conviction, despite the fact that it is a stream of gibberish. But the judge is still not impressed. It's going to backfire badly. It's all smoke, mirrors, and misapplied legalese.
Mr. Garinger, do you have any questions for this witness?
No questions, Your Honor.
I reserve all my rights under UCC 1-308.
I'm sorry, UCC. I need to be able to hear you clearly. You reserve all of your rights under
UCC 1-308.
Okay.
I do not accept this offer. I do not consent to any proceedings. I'm not a United States citizen.
Mr. Brown, I'm going to stop you right now. You can have a seat.
By the defendant's own admission, he canceled his own license. He did not have a valid license on May 12, 2023. He was not able to produce one, nor did he have a valid title, nor was he able to produce one. Your Honor, I believe you have a copy of the MCL code, so I won't go through reciting them all. But it is required in the state of Michigan that if you are on the roadways, that you must have a valid driver's license. It's also required that you're in your motor vehicle. You must have a valid title to that vehicle and registration. Finally, if you're given a lawful order from a police officer, you must obey those commands if they are a lawful order. The fact of the matter is that the defendant, Mr. Roman Brown, did not produce those things when he was stopped on May 12th, and he refused to comply with the lawful orders given by Corporal Spidell. Therefore, the people would ask that this honorable court find the defendant guilty on all three counts. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Closing arguments.
He now contends that licensing is a fraud and that his vehicle is private property. He claims that he has never signed a contract and that government regulation is optional. Although his supporters may find these arguments audacious, they are completely without merit in a court of law. The judge maintains her composure and lets him talk while maintaining strict control. The sighs is practically audible to the courtroom personnel, who have witnessed this royal circus before and are well aware of its conclusion.
Ticket for Stephen, clearly on video, it just showed that he said that he put me up before.
We don't have a speeding ticket on the record for today.
For a lawful order to be submitted, it had to be a crime being committed. There was no crime being committed. Like I stated before, I was traveling in my automobile, my private conveyance. I was not driving. I am not a driver or employee like Uber or someone that's transporting goods or property. I'm not a driver. I was traveling from point A to point B. My automobile was, I had an issue with my automobile. It was steward. I was taking it to get it serviced. I was traveling there. I didn't commit any crime. Like I stated, a lawful order for it to be lawful order, it has to be a crime present. And I haven't committed any crimes. I did everything that he requested. I gave him all of the documents that were legit on my behalf. He went in my and unlawfully violated my rights by going into my private my private property and getting any information and documents that he did get. I didn't present those because they weren't valid. They wasn't. They were canceled. So I don't want a contract. I do not consent to any contract. I don't want a contract. I have the right to travel free. I'm a non-citizen national. I am not a United States citizen. I am not a resident. I do not reside in any fictitious address in the United States. I'm a national for the United States of America.
It's time to face reality now. Using real legal facts, the reality check prosecutor coolly disproves the defendant's arguments. Multiple infractions, no registration, and no driver's license. Contrary to the defendant's wish, the overwhelming weight of the evidence is supported by the law. However, the defendant follows his script without responding to any of it. It's documentation versus delusion. The law also wins. Spoiler warning.
I need you to recite your oath of office to uphold the Constitution. I haven't did anything wrong, you know. I'll get pulled over and took out my car. That's like kidnapping. I wasn't. This is crazy. This is.
Are you done?
This is DC Precinct. Purpose. I'm sorry, can you speak that? DC Precinct.
I don't know that I understood that.
This court is operating as a DC Precinct.
What is that?
DC Precinct.
Don't repeat the words. Tell me what that means.
Yeah. This is the notice of DC Precinct. A demand for judicial notice of Rule Lacey. A Rule Lacey court. Notice is hereby given on August 6th of 2024 at 8:30 a.m. or soon thereafter. The matters can be held in courtroom of the above entitled court. Move the court to take judicial notice of the following. This is the demand for judicial notice of Rule Lacey within a Lacey court by being part of the Lacey precinct court system must follow Rule Lacey, which is a quote, a Rule Lacey which all becomes operated and final unless caused by shown against it. Since the court can require and fill performance which is only allowed in the court, which is enforced some type of contract. It is foreign book law that all contracts are either equitable or missing for enforcement purposes. Based upon the foregoing, this court must take judicial notice that this court is merely enforcing some type of contract that will allow Rule Lacey to apply. Therefore, the court should dismiss this matter and the prosecutor does not produce, if the prosecutor does not produce contact on proof with omission, evidence that the accused was involved in an actual being regulated with admissible evidence that invoked the authority of the court. Hearsay or presumption will not be permitted since this is a criminal trial which the accused justly demands due process secure to him by the state.
As though that somehow nullifies traffic laws, the defendant maintains that he has the right to travel. He screams about state sovereignty, not being a U.S. citizen, and just for good measure, a few anti-government cliches. But the legal system doesn't work on vibes, regardless of how passionately he performs. Despite the judge's attention, the statute remains unaltered. This section demonstrates how far a belief can go when facts are disregarded.
Heard testimony from both the corporal officer, Corporal Spadell, who made the stop on May 11th, 2023. The court has also heard testimony from the defendant, Mr. Roman Brown. As it relates, I guess I will start with One moment. It's Roman Levon Brown. I wanted to make sure I have his full name for the record. Roman Levon Brown. The court has heard testimony that Corporal made the stop on 5/11 or May 11, 2023 in the city of Detroit in the county of Wayne. Corporal Spadell identified Mr. Roman Levon Brown as the defendant sitting in the courtroom in the blue blazer. Corporal, as well as the evidence provided by the people, showed in the video cam that the corporal made the stop based on a expiration of a plate. The color initially caught his attention, indicating that the plate had been expired, giving him probable cause to pull over the black Chevy. He later verified in the lien system that the vehicle had not been registered since 2022. Again, the stop was made 5/11 or May 11th, 2023. The corporal then gave testimony that, as well as seen in the dash cam video, that the defendant was given several instructions to turn off the ignition or to take the key out of the ignition on numerous occasions. The defendant did not comply with the request from the officer to take the key out of the ignition. At one point in the video, the corporal asked that the defendant place the key on the roof of the vehicle. The defendant did not comply with the request of the corporal. Corporal gave instructions for the defendant to step out of his vehicle. The defendant did not comply initially, did not comply with the instructions of the corporal. Corporal also has testified that the defendant, as well as seen in the video, that the defendant did not provide a valid driver's license when asked to do so. The defendant did, in fact, give some form of paper that the court does not have in evidence today. The defendant has not submitted that in evidence today as to what that paper or what those documents were. However, it was not a Michigan driver's license. Corporal then ran, or at some point in the video, was able to obtain the actual driver's license card off of the defendant's person, and later was later learned that the defendant did not have a valid driver's license in the state of Michigan because the defendant canceled his driver's license. Defendant's own admission stated that he canceled his driver's license due to not wanting to have a contract with the state of Michigan. Therefore, the court is going to find the defendant guilty on all three charges. Guilty of unregistered, untitled vehicle, which the defendant did not provide a registration at the time of the stop. The lien system verified by Corporal Spadell that the vehicle had not been registered since 2022. Guilty on the count of driving while licensed improper, since the Corporal Spadell confirmed, and the court has confirmed, that the driver's license of the defendant is still canceled as of today. And guilty on disregarding the officer's signal or lawful commands of an officer. The officer made lawful commands, although it was not as a result of an arrest at that point in time. The defendant had not been placed under arrest at that time. However, it was a lawful command. The defendant has argued that the commands of the officer were not lawful because he had not violated any of the laws and that he had not done anything wrong. Simply to state that you have not done anything wrong does not mean that you have not done anything wrong. Simply to state that you have not violated a law does not mean that your actions, in your actions or through your actions, that you have not violated the laws. In this state, you are required, although you use the word travel, you can use whatever word you'd like to use in this situation. If you are operating a motor vehicle in the state of Michigan, you must have the vehicle registered every year. You must have a valid driver's license as well as insurance in order to operate a motor vehicle in the state of Michigan. I believe that the defendant did provide valid car insurance through Cure, and I don't know that that was brought up on the record, but I did see in the video that there was a Cure insurance certificate provided at the time of the stop. However, there was no indication or no evidence provided that there was a registration or a valid driver's license provided. Again, simply stating a uniform commercial code that explains your acceptance of performance. You accept the performance, or you accept the expectations of your performance based on driving in the state of Michigan. If you decide that you are going to avail yourself of the liberties and the privileges of driving in the state of Michigan, you are expected to have a driver's license and registration in this state. If you didn't, or a valid driver's license in a state that could be verified, and that was not done. Again, the defendant is guilty on all 3 counts. And before we move to sentencing, is there anything that the people would like to state on the record?
The people the people would leave sentencing in this court's discretion. No objection for immediate sentencing, Your Honor.
Would the defendant like to speak on his behalf regarding?
He is now deeply involved in the sovereign cause. Like he's weaving a spell, he attempts to redefine legal concepts, spells his name in odd ways, and raises doubts about jurisdiction. The purpose of the performance is to control and confuse. The judge, however, does not bite. This behavior has been witnessed in every courtroom. Courts are seen as a game of loopholes, and this is repeated drivel from sovereign circles. This judge isn't playing either.
Yes. Like I stated before, I was not driving. I was traveling, and
Is this related to sentencing? We've already determined that tomato, Mr. Brown, regardless of whether or not you were driving, traveling, whatever word you want to use, I've already stated on the record that to operate a motor vehicle in the state of Michigan requires a driver's license. Do you have anything you'd like to state on your behalf before I sentence you, sir? I'm sorry?
I don't recognize the authority. I have not.
That's fine. I do. I recognize this authority. So, and I am I'm probably the only person that matters right now in terms of recognizing the authority of this state and the laws that have been broken by you in this state.
I have a question. So, I didn't know there was a law. That was a law. I thought that was a statute or status,
Again, tomato, it's a statute. It's a statute.
So it's not a law.
It's a law. It's under the Michigan compliant laws, and I'm not getting ready to debate this issue with you. You can take that up on appeal because you will have plenty of time to write an appeal.
In the business, we call this foreshadowing.
Are you ready for sentencing?
I'm sorry,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I said, yes, ma'am.
Okay, have a seat. So, it is quite disappointing to me that not only Corporal Spadell had to spend quite some time with the defendant in this matter on a driving while license suspended, driving while unlicensed. I'm sorry, driving while license improper, I should say, and a registration. The time and resources that it took for this incident, I can only imagine how many laws were actually being violated in the state by other people. How many people were going unprotected, or how many crimes, serious crimes, were being committed at the time that six officers to respond to a no registration or unregistered untitled vehicle and a driving while license improper. 6 officers. I would definitely like to remind Mr. Brown, although not right, it's never ever right for an officer to use force, and I would like to commend the officers who were there on that date and time, because they were very patient with you, very respectful to you. No one ever lost their patience. No one ever lost their cool. But have you seen the video where the young lady lost her life? She was shot in the face by an officer for actually following the commands of an officer. Yet you are playing games with your life. And again, would like to commend the Detroit Police Department for responding with the patience and with the professionalism that they responded to in this incident. As a state legislator, I worked on legislation that would hold police officers accountable for using excessive force in this state. However, after meeting with DPOA and some of the officers in Detroit, I learned that they already have a handbook, and most of the things that were being asked of the officers across the state of Michigan were already being used and trained properly in the state, or at least in the city of Detroit Police Department, as evidenced by this entire video. Again, the patience that they had to have with you and your shenanigans on that date took a lot of professionalism, and I'm glad that they handled it in that way and not in the way that we see in videos across the country, because this could have ended totally different for you, Mr. Brown. Completely different outcome had they not had the professionalism and training that they've had to deal with shenanigans. Because that's exactly what this was today, as well as the day of your stop. Shenanigans. You are not allowed to operate, travel. You're not to be behind the wheel of a vehicle. Whether you think it's driving or traveling, I don't care. You are not to operate a motor vehicle in this state without a driver's license. The court is now going to sentence Mr. Brown to 30 days in the Wayne County Jail for each incident to run concurrently. Mr. Brown, you can take it. You have a right to appeal.
Ma'am, can I say one thing, ma'am?
No,
I'm
no,
going
sir.
to jail.
No, sir. No, sir.
Why though, ma'am? Here.
In a desperate attempt, he requests that the court give sovereign documents judicial notice. Although it sounds dramatic, it has no legal significance. For a moment, the court makes fun of him, but things are starting to change. The judge is getting ready to administer true justice. The transition from courtroom tolerance to courtroom authority occurs in this section. The show is over. There will be repercussions, and no fictitious legal instrument can prevent them.
Please, ma'am, can you please,
I need my car
ma'am,
keys.
please,
In
ma'am.
the house. Right?
Oh my God. Ma'am, I didn't do anything, ma'am. I apologize. Please, ma'am, have compassion. I have children. My son is at the, please, ma'am.
Can you get my car keys?
Did you consider your children when you were out playing games with the police officers, like literally playing games with your
I
life?
was doing things right, ma'am.
Did you consider your children when you were literally playing games with your life with 6 officers surrounding you and you wanted to continue to play games with them? Did you consider your kids on that day?
I was trying to reserve my rights, ma'am. I did not know that I was going to go to jail for something. I did nothing wrong, ma'am.
Each offense holds up to 93 days in the county jail. Every one of the offenses that you committed is punishable up to 93 days in the county jail. You will serve the sentence concurrently.